was a very quiet town. It was a rural area, dirt road. We did not have any street number. We didn't have any house numbers. We didn't have any street, there was no street. It was just a road. But it was rather quiet, not anything like it is today. We did not have a telephone. We did not have electricity. That came later, and the first telephone numbers we had were Webster, W-E with 4 numbers. I was probably about, I was about 4 years old when we moved to the house where my mom and dad bought on Old Alabama Road. They bought 40 acres, more or less, and they bought it from Mr. Jonas Priest, and it was $800. My mother and daddy worked at Coates and Clark for, I don't know how many years they worked there, but they worked at Coates and Clark in the beginning, and then they would come home and there was bottom land with a creek, and they would farm that, corn and beans and things like that, and they had a garden. And back then, they would take a truck, and his son-in-law drove the truck, and they would just pick all the vegetables fresh, and they would put them in there, and they would go through the different streets in Cartersville and sell the vegetables. You really didn't have that much, because the houses weren't close together to have someone to play with or, do anything with. And at school we played ball. We had basketball. They had a basketball court outside. We played basketball, and we had a softball team. It was just a team within the school, Oak Grove School. When my mother was in the cafeteria. She started when I started to school. She started working there, and then she left. When our son started, she wanted to go back to school and go to the cafeteria, and she went to the cafeteria and worked again. I married in December, and before I graduated the next June. There were 3 or 4 girls that had married in there. But Mr. Cantrell, there was, in my study hall, Mr. Cantrell, there was an announcement came over the PA system that said, Marie White, come to the office. And I had to go, holy cow, what have I done? And Mr. Cantrell had a long talk with me about, he had heard we were getting married at Thanksgiving. And I said, no, sir, not getting married at Thanksgiving. He goes, because I want you to go to college. And I said, okay. I said, but I'm not getting married Thanksgiving. So I didn't tell him Christmas, but he didn't say anything to me. He didn't say anything because there were about 3 other girls that had married. The first job I had, though, out of high school was I went to work at the Bank of Ackworth.
Okay.
And then I worked for a doctor. I worked for Dr. Bullard.
Talk about that.
That was more of an experience than anything, because I had never been in the medical field before. And I did insurance front desk and was trained to do some things in the back. I worked at the front, I made appointments, and then I also, after a while, started doing the insurance. And I also, if they got behind, then I was trained for the back to take patients back and do vitals. My childhood was great living on a farm. I think that so many children now are missing out on a lot of things because they don't know what farm life is, It was just a great little town to grow up in. I guess I would say I miss that little town. I'm glad of all the new places and new things and what they're doing with the Ackworth, Save the Ackworth history. Ackworth was a great town to grow up in.